Welcome to the Weekly Wiffle. I'm Eddie Kalegi. Lots to get to on the show where we talk about all things Major League Wiffle Ball. Couple big upsets in the championship series. The Coastal Cobras getting by the Wildcats in a 2-game sweep. The Mallards shocking the Eagles. Who's got the upper hand heading into the World Series? And who really needs to regroup for next season? All that and more coming up in just a moment here on the Weekly Wiffle. Hello, it's Eddie Kalegi, and we are here for the Weekly Wiffle. So first of all, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have the links in the description to the Major League Wiffle Ball YouTube page and their website, so you can catch up on that. If you looked at it now we got some stuff to get to. So the championship series leading up to the World Series have been completed. Of course, the Predators eliminated by the Cobras in a shocker in the first round. Seahawks going down to the Mallards. And both those teams headed in as heavy underdogs facing the Wildcats and Eagles. Wildcats who have made the World Series in every year of the MLW, while the Eagles are coming off of their first World Series championship. But the shocker, things changed, both of them lost. So we got to start in the American League, and we got to start with the Wildcats and Cobras. The Cobras, they did not hit well in the series. And the whole postseason, Drew Davis and Andy Durand combined to hit 3 for 32 with 23 strikeouts and just 2 home runs in the 5 games that they played in the postseason. And Andy Durand didn't even play in the series against the Wildcats. Jack Krause got the time. So, it's crazy how they were able to stick with them and make it to the World Series. A team that went 4-11 in the regular season, started the year 0-7, and somehow they had a halfway decent end to the year, a couple good series to end it out, and then have just come into the playoffs as world beaters. And 2 reasons why. Mitch Marvin, probably have not even heard of him before this year, in the postseason hitting .294 with 3 home runs and 5 total hits and 5 runs scored. He has had an amazing postseason. And then the pitching. As I'm looking at the website right now, the pitching from Drew Davis was extraordinary so far this postseason. 15 innings in 5 starts, 7 hits, 4 runs, 10 walks, 36 strikeouts, and an ERA of 0.8, a whip of 1.13. That is a very impressive stat line. So, because of unlikely heroes like Mitch Marvin and Drew Davis's incredible right arm, he is really starting to prove himself as one of the great pitchers in the league. We'll dive more into him in just a few moments, but now we gotta take a quick look at the Wildcats. The Western Wildcats, starting from the first year of the MLW when they were one of the 2 original teams, them and the Eagles, they've been the team. And they have made the World Series every year, going 5 for 7, 5 titles, and a pair of losses, one to the Central Cardinals, who are no longer in the league, and then the Eastern Eagles last year. But 2 games, 1-2, bang, bang, they go down to the Cobras, the worst team in the league in the regular season. So you gotta ask yourself, how did that even happen? Kyle Schultz gave up 4 earned runs in 5 innings in the 2 games, and only had 12 strikeouts. Kyle Schultz's pitching numbers have really started to go down over the last couple of years. I mean, he is not the same stud that he was years ago when he hit 35 home runs in 2011. I mean, he's still very strong, but He went 0 for 6. In the whole series, 1 for 6, he had the only hit. He had a single in one of the games. That was the only hit of the entire series for the Wildcats. Only other base runners, a couple of walks by Zach Whalen. But the Wildcats have just slowly been heading downhill. 2015, their last championship, went undefeated in the regular season, 14-0, with Noah Daberco and Ryan Gable on the team, and Kyle Schultz hitting 19 homers and 36 ribbies and only struck out 13 times all season. I mean, it was impressive. And Kyle Schultz, pitching-wise, during the regular season, I mean, all three guys were used as starters at different times. Schultz the most. He pitched 9 different times, and he had an ERA of 1.38, which was by far the best on the ball club. Then let's fast forward to last season. Last season, they finished the year 9-5 and fall to the Eagles in the championship. Kyle Schultz loses Noah Daberco and Gable and gets joined by Alex House and Michael Stachelski, who both hit pretty solid. All had over 5 homers and all hit over 200. And Schultz, 16 home runs in the season, hit 465. Pitching-wise, 2.04 ERA, so it started to go up a little. He missed a series, I remember, and Alex House had to start, and those were atrocious. But then this season, I mean, they were still the best in the AL, but I mean, I feel like right now, the National League has a bit of the upper hand. They've got 2 extraordinary teams in the Mallards and the Eagles. Seahawks aren't as far up there. While, I mean, it's hard to say who the best team is in the American League because there are so many holes in this Wildcats team. The Cobras are the ones who got through, but they've got holes, and the Predators, other than Alec Warda, don't have much. So they went 10-5 this regular season, and Kyle Schultz, still only an ERA of 1.6, but did surrender 21 runs this season, and did still get the 89 Ks. But offensively, one of his worst years in terms of average. I mean, you wouldn't think 390 is that terrible, but that's what's the case with him. And just 12 homers. Zach Whalen there too with 10 homers. And then, for next year, for this Wildcats team to be competitive, they need to find someone else to go along with them. I mean, the 2 Ruley kids, Tom Ruley, Chris Ruley, they are very young. I think they're both still in middle school. I mean, they are very young players. They're going to have their chance. I mean, they're part of this next generation with them and Drew Davis and maybe this Mitch Marvin. They're part of the next generation of elite wiffle ballers. But for right now, the 2 of them combined hit 10 for 69 this season with 5 homers. And for the Wildcats to be able to get by the Cobras, they needed much stronger than that. So just a thing to think about next season. I mean, I think you got to throw one more guy in there with Schultz and Whalen. They used this other guy, Casey McCarthy, who's bounced around a bunch of teams over the past couple of years, kind of as a fill-in player. And in 3 games, he did hit 400 with an on-base percentage of .625, 2 for 5. With a couple hits, 3 walks, and only struck out once, so he could be a possible option next year. But anyway, the Cobras get through. Now, moving on to the National League. And in the National League, the Eastern Eagles, 12-3 in the regular season, and I mean, what a year they've gotten from some guys. Brendan Schultz doesn't play as much as he used to. Still hit 400 and had 4 bombs. Clayton Price had a solid year, does not hit for power, but he did hit for 302 average. Ryan Cracked had a good season and had 5 homers and drew 12 walks, only a 214 average. And then Daniel Schultz hit his 100th, I think he was the one who got close to 100th home run this season. 362, 11 bombs, 22 ribbies, a 450 OBP. Pitching-wise, though, Daniel Schultz has started to take a little bit of a step back. And with the return of Tommy Coughlin to the Mallards, and Drew Davis's incredible year, and still Kyle Schultz. Daniel Schultz is starting to get lost in the shuffle a little bit in terms of elite pitchers. And then, of course, Alec Warda. I mean, he's still got the 1.76 ERA, but just not fooling guys as much as he used to. And it's going to be something for them to look at for next season. So they go and face the Midwest Mallards, a brand new expansion team this year. Went 9-6 in the regular season, but got swept in their final series by the Eagles. This is a strong team. You throw in Tommy Coughlin, and then you put Noah Daberco there, who has championship experience. Both those players have won championships with the Wildcats before. And Coughlin hits .286. Not as much power in his bat, but still very strong. Noah Daberco hits .329 with 12 bombs. And then Coughlin with the pitching. An ERA of 1.17, best in the league. 73 strikeouts over 30 innings. And when he wasn't available, I mean, he missed a few games this year. Noah Daberco held down the fort, and 3.73 ERA and a whip under 2. That's still pretty solid. So the Mallards face the Eagles. Game 1 goes to the Mallards on a couple lucky plays. Then the Eagles strike back in Game 2. Daniel Schultz had a big home run. And then Game 3 comes. Mallards find themselves in an early hole down 2-0. And then the second inning, Daniel Schultz implodes. A historic implosion. 2-run blast from Noah Daberco to tie the game. And then a couple lucky hits and a bad throw that went out of play. And in the end, Tommy Coughlin sealed it up. And the Mallards, the two newest teams in the league, Cobras in their second year, Mallards in their first, are going to square off in the World Series. The Mallards win an NL title. So the Eagles, who have only missed the World Series, I believe, twice before this, end up missing it this year. And now the Mallards and the Cobras, two unlikely heroes. And who do I think is going to win this? Now the Cobras, this has been a Cinderella story. A amazing run. Drew Davis is going to pitch well. But Tommy Coughlin, in his return, I mean, left the league, retired, left the league for 3 years. I didn't know if... who knows if he's even going to be back next season. You hope he will. But this is the Mallards' time. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Mallards fan, but I really think this is the Mallards' year. I think Tommy Coughlin and Daberco, I mean, that pairing is going to be so strong. Stephen McPeak adds a third player. And I think they're going to be able to seal it out. I think this one could go 5 games like many World Series have before. Two very evenly matched teams, and look for a lot of pitchers' duels. Andy Duran's got to get that bat hot again for the Cobras. Mitch Marvin's got to keep it up. But I got Mallards in 5. So that's going to just about wrap up this week's edition of the Weekly Wiffle. So next week's edition, we'll be recapping the World Series. Week after, we'll just do a season in review, and then it's going to become a monthly show during the off-season, talking about uploads to the MLW channel and any other news that comes out before then about any expansion teams or players moving to different teams. And then, probably around mid-April, we'll start back up with some regular weekly shows talking about the league. So that's all I have got. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you next time here on the Weekly Wiffle.